So first off, I want to just say a huge thank you to all you guys for coming out. The feedback that we've had yesterday from a lot of the people that are sitting here today and who are not able to make it today has been awesome. And so we're glad you're enjoying this, and I think we're going to have a really good time in the next 2 hours. So thank you guys all for supporting the stores, for supporting the brands that these guys represent. And let's get this thing rolling. But before we start, I also want to give a huge thank you to all you guys. I know how difficult, I really genuinely do know how difficult it is to travel, especially while on prep, and do these events constantly. You guys do these all the time, and it really means the world to us, it means the world to our staff, and especially our clients. They all look up to you guys, and so I really appreciate it. So let's first start with a round of applause for these guys for being here. So if you don't know, I'm Doug Miller. I'm the owner of the Nutrition Corners. Patrick, he is Meaty Thighs. He's going to be the co-MC here. He's the national sales manager for one of our brands, Core Nutritionals, America Labs. Not one of our brands, all of our brands. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna quickly introduce them. You probably already know who this is, who these people are, but we're gonna give them a softball question to get this rolling. I know some of you guys are probably gonna be a little bit shy in asking questions, so we're gonna throw them a softball. We're gonna introduce them, give them 1 minute to answer the first question. That's some terrible feedback. And then we're gonna turn it over to you guys. So, what do you think? Wow, it's like the vortex. You turned yours off. I knew it was you messing it up. All right. So first, let's roll down this panel here. John Meadows, Granite Supplements, IFBB Pro, Badass Trainer. You guys all know John. So, John, you got 1 minute. You got to keep this short, okay? You ready? 1 minute.
Let's go.
All right.
Pancakes.
3 quick pieces of advice or tips for someone starting out in bodybuilding. You probably get this question a lot, but I think it's a really important one.
All right, number one, bodybuilding is a sport that's very easy to get self-absorbed, to let your ego get out of control, forget those around you, stay grounded, keep a good level head, keep perspective, don't forget your friends, don't forget your family, don't get lost in all that. That'd be my number one thing, especially in today's world. That would be number one. Number two, there's no magic formula. It's going to take consistency. It's going to take doing the right thing day in and day out over years, if not decades, to reach your full potential. So be patient. Don't think it has to happen overnight. That'd be number two. And number three would probably be have fun. Like if you really want to do this for a long time, enjoy yourself. If you don't, you're eventually just going to quit. So that'd be my rapid fire 3 quick answers.
Awesome, that's great. Cody, you want to take Cody here?
Me? Yeah, I got you, Cody. Here we go. Cody Montgomery, IFBB Pro. Most of you guys know he's been with Black Sun Labs for years now. So Cody, there was a lot of pressure on you at a young age, being one of the first youngest IFBB Pro to turn pro. Now that you're more seasoned, what is advice you would give your 16-year-old self if you could do it all over again?
You know, like 18 anyway. Man child.
Stay patient, and patience is a really big thing in this sport, and especially in today's day and age. There's a lot of pressure from social media, from sponsors, and everything else, critics, to do things fast, and you got to stay true to yourself. And when I started this, I knew it was going to be like what John was saying. It's going to be decades. It's not going to be years. So just stay really consistent, but more than anything, be patient. Would be my number one advice.
Awesome. Check. All right, just check it. Guy Cisternino, IFBB 212 champ, multiple champ. What have you won, like 6 times or something like that? But who's counting, right? So representing MFit Nutrition, a new brand we just picked up for the store, so we're pretty excited about that. All right, so you've been through some adversity recently. You've gone through some injuries. So let's talk a little bit about your journey back to stage and how is it different this time coming back from an injury?
this prep sucks. I had double shoulder surgery last year. I had my right one done June 26th, my left one done July 31st. I went from 238 down to 193 because I couldn't work out, and all I was doing was cardio. I wasn't eating a lot. There's a lot of people who have injuries, they think they keep their protein and all their food sources up, but they don't realize that when you're eating all that protein and carbohydrates, your body's not utilizing because you're not working out. So I was eating maybe 2 to 3 times a day max, and I dropped a substantial amount of weight, and everybody counted me out, but I like being an underdog. I don't mind it. I don't have the genetics to be a pro bodybuilder. The difference between myself and a lot of people that compete, and I say this a lot, is that there's a difference between people working out to be a bodybuilder and people that are bodybuilders because they love to work out. And I'm a guy that loves to work out. I've been working out since I was 14 years old because I played football for 15 years. So my background, I'm not a bodybuilder, I'm a weightlifter. I enjoy the process of weightlifting, whether I'm bodybuilding or not. And I think that's what separates myself from a lot of people. I think a lot of people nowadays, due to social media and the self-entitlement that people have nowadays because they have an outlet, a lot of people do things not because they love them, but because they see the end result and they think they're going to do it to make all this money, not because they actually love the process or love working out or love the sport. So the difference between my mentality and everybody else's was, my mentality was I knew I would come back. It just being 37 years old, I didn't know how my body was going to respond. I knew my mentality. My mentality in the gym is anybody that watches me train is that I'll tell anybody here, anybody that watches the video, I'll go to the gym with anybody any day of the week and I'll bury them. I don't care who they are, who they think they are. But that's the mentality that I have.
Sounds like a challenge, guys. We're training later today, so
But that being said, I always have in the back of my mind, my father said, no matter how hard you work, there's always somebody out there working harder than you. So I always have that in the back of my mind, is that no matter how hard I work, I always know that there's somebody out there trying to work harder than me. So that's my mentality, and that's why I'm able to do what I do, because I don't walk in the gym and go through the motions. I walk in the gym and I take care of business and I walk out. And that's just how it's always been for me since I was a kid, and that's why I'm successful, not because I'm a great bodybuilder, but I'm a great, I'm a great trainer in the gym. Like I just like working out.
All right, thanks.
I'm fired up. Let's go. All right, we're gonna go to John De La Rosa, IFB Pro Champion. John, you're having a very successful year, man.
That was a 5-minute answer.
Right, he went over. He went over. He's eating into your
Tell me
time.
1 minute, he goes John 1 minute.
He's eating into your time. All right, so John De La Rosa, IFB Pro Champ, representing Betancourt Nutrition. So you're having a very successful year. Congratulations on Puerto Rico Pro win this year. Yeah, man. So what are your plans for the rest of the year? You competed a lot early. Are we gonna stretch this thing out to the Olympia this year?
Yeah, we're hitting the Olympia, starting prep officially tomorrow. We're about 12 weeks out now, and we've set some pretty lofty goals for the Olympia. We want to place between top 6 and 8, which I think is very possible with the lineup being what it is this year. So that's what we're gonna go for.
And how many shows have you competed in so far this year?
I won Toronto 3 weeks ago and Puerto Rico 4 weeks ago.
So I'm gonna load you up right now. You okay with that?
Yeah.
So what's some advice you can give for somebody stretching out a year like this, right? You competed early, and now you're trying to stretch it out to the fall. What is some good advice that you can give to somebody that's trying to do that within the same year?
I think rest is probably the most important thing. We're going in the gym, we have this goal of competing and looking our best, but you can beat your body to the ground where you start having negative results, right? So the last 3-4 weeks after Toronto, my coach Neil Hill told me just eat up, get my calories back up, so that way when we start prepping for the Olympia, we're at a higher caloric intake. So letting my metabolism rest instead of beating myself down with dieting, and then we really didn't train much for the last 2-3 weeks either. So I'm just getting back to training, which will allow my body to be fresh for the next 12 weeks going into Olympia. So I think probably the best thing is, if you're going to plan a year like that, resting is probably going to be the best thing for you.
Awesome, thanks. All right, Chris Duffin,
Yeah.
owner of Kabuki Strength and Guinness World Record holder. You ready for this? Deadlifting over 1,000 pounds for a double. And I saw the video, I checked it out last night. It was almost 3 reps. I know he's pretty pissed about that, right? So let's talk a little bit about what's next, because I know you got something really big planned coming up even in March. So you've already deadlifted 1,000 pounds for 2 reps. So what's coming up in March, and why are you doing this?
All right. Okay. So I'll share the goal. I talk about it. I don't post this one publicly, so please don't post this around on the internet. All right?
As everyone's filming you.
What's that?
As everyone's
filming me. Great. Okay. Well, so when I retired from powerlifting, I did this video titled Grand Goals, and I talked about how I wanted to deadlift 1,000 pounds and squat 1,000 pounds, and be the lightest person to ever do that. And so I deadlifted 1,000 pounds for almost 3 reps.
Hey guy, you know you're going to be training later, right?
I said at work. I didn't say wrong. Don't get that twisted. That's different.
So my goal all along was actually to do 1,000 pounds for reps on both of them. So I'm going to go for a triple for 1,000 pounds next March. And so there's a big goal of mine. Nobody has ever done both for reps, and I don't think that there's anybody out there that can. So you're causing me problems, man. Sorry. So anyway, that's the goal. I've been working on this for like 4 years. A lot of work to do, but I'm getting a little older, so I got to wrap up my lifting at some point. So I'm getting in my mid 40s, so getting closer to it. So I mean, I'm not young like this guy over here.
Let's try this one. I think that one's...
Yeah, this one's having problems. Okay.
My favorite part is there's like 1,000 pounds of man meat out there, and he goes, I'm gonna squat and deadlift 1,000 pounds. All 1,000 pounds of man meat looks at each other and goes, what the fuck? In unison, everyone's like, you're like, that's fucking insane. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty fucking weird.
I'm good at picking up things.
Yeah.
Planet Fitness is right there.
I don't build my own gym. I don't like other gyms.
All right, we're going to move on to Steve. We'll pass the mic. All right, Steve Kuklo, ladies and gentlemen, IFB Pro Champion, representing Almax Nutrition. Steve, we saw you in China. You travel the world. How do you manage prep, your meals, your training in other countries? Because Doug and I were there.
Especially in China.
I got a good story about China.
Bro, we were sitting around these tables, and they had that little thing that spins in the middle.
It's a
The wheel, circle of death.
Circle of death.
Circle of death.
Well, thanks guys for being out here, coming out here supporting the cause. It's an honor to be speaking to you guys. But it's a good question. I get questions about diet, nutrition a lot. I think a lot of it is just kind of being realistic with yourself and your goals and plans. Like, you know, I know not everybody's going to be getting on stage or competing that's here right now, but you got to have some kind of balance when it comes to diet, nutrition, and make smart choices. I think if you're traveling, I always try to be prepared. I always try to pack meals as many as I can when I'm dieting or for a show. It's a lot more precise and a lot more planned. But if I am in the off season or not necessarily caring about what I eat as much, you know, I enjoy going out to dinner, but I'll make smarter choices. I'm not going to order pizza every meal and eat burgers every meal, but I'll eat something close to what I would do, you know, as a typical diet food for myself. So that's how I do it when I'm traveling. But a funny story about China, and I'll keep it quick, but when I saw you guys in China, it was right after the Arnold, because I think if you guys were there as well. So it was a quick turnaround, get on the airplane, head to China, and that's a 20-plus hour trip out there. And they like, the Chinese like to take us out to the local Chinese places. Well, they have iron guts in China. So don't ever challenge a true Chinaman to any kind of eating contest, because they eat some weird shit, just to be honest. Last time we were there, I had tried a whole bunch of different foods, but this time they, you know, coming off a diet, your stomach's a little bit sensitive to a lot of different foods that you're not used to. They got a lot of different bacteria there. Well, circle of death out. I think I was circling death for like 2 days from severe food poisoning when I was there, right before I flew out. But so just a tip for you: if you go to China, don't eat, just eat at the hotel.
That is 100% true. Pat and I can attest to the circle. All right, I'm Amanda Kuklo.
Hey, I just want to say he won that show when he came home from that.
That's so cute. You're such a proud wife. I love
That
that.
was amazing.
Great.
He won India.
You talk about your man.
I've experienced a circle of that too. So.
All right. 10-time IMDb bikini champ.
But who's counting?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, and I should say, Shark Tank, Booty Queen.
Booty Queen transitioned
Yes.
into
We
business.
could put her on both panels, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were going the other one, but yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about that. You're an entrepreneur at heart. Let's talk about some advice for other athletes trying to make it outside of competing. Because let's be honest, there's no money in competing. I mean, if you're winning the Olympia, yeah, there's some money. But beyond that, I mean, the money isn't real there. So let's talk about that transition and what you got going on.
That's more than a minute question.
Yeah.
I can try it.
All right, you get like 2 or 3.
Yes. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. I'm so excited. I'm the only woman up here. It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I know about women empowerment. Yes, I love. Thank you. That's right, girl. You know what? And you're exactly right. There's not a lot of money in competing, especially for women. So I would diet for a show for 12 weeks, and I'd win $1,500 for first place. And I know a couple years later, it was still that. A suit can be $1,500, you know? So I always had a mindset of big picture, and everything I do now, I kind of try to preach that on my social media to kind of help people what like I said, if I would have known back then, always looking of what's past the stage. So my advice would be to get skilled in as many things as possible. So if I was going to be on stage, I also knew that if I was going to represent a company, to be an athlete and actually get a good contract, not just get paid in supplements, I wanted to be able to speak, I wanted to be able to interview, I wanted to be able to think quick on my feet, I wanted to be a good model, and I was always thinking past the stage. And I think that a lot of people also not only get deterred with thinking, what do I do after stage, but they also think this is all there is. Once you transition from stage, it's really hard for a woman to once you're known, which was hard for me too. Once you're known as the competitor, the athlete, the champion, it's very hard for you to get past that. So right now I'm trying to help a lot of women thinking like, don't just think that was stage, let that be your platform and where you start, but you have to think, what are you gonna do after that? So my thought was, well, how can I make it into a business? And then with business, it basically takes everything that we learned about dieting, which is discipline, hard work, sacrifice, not being lazy, which a lot will separate you right there because the younger generation coming up, no offense, no one's younger, they don't want to work really that hard. It's like Guy said with entitlement, especially social media. We used to train without a freaking mirror or a selfie stick. I used to train with an iPod and I never recorded a video. So when you go with that, you have people that are just doing it because they think they're going to be successful. There goes your ability to learn skills. Autocorrect, they don't have to do anything. It's like, it's crazy. So if you go in and already have a hard work attitude, you're gonna be up here separating. But also with that is don't do anything because you see someone else doing it. So people all the time think, I'm in fitness, they're successful with a clothing company, I'm gonna start my own. And I go, you have my blessing, man, because if you're not supposed to do that, if that is not your destiny, you will not have that same level of success. And they have no idea how hard it is because the people on social media will only do, because I'm dealing with this now, sorry, this is not quite 4 minutes. I want to be a boss lady, CEO. I'm like, you have no idea what that means. You don't know what it means. Because I got women up to me and they're like, I just don't want to work for anyone anymore. And I'm like, I'm hiring employees with that same attitude. And as soon as you're a boss that you don't want to work for anyone, you're going to have to hire employees that don't want to work for you and have that crap. And I know you know because you have a business. So anyway, long story short, too late. I'm so passionate. I would just say anything you do, work your ass off. Make sure it's in your lane with what you're gifted and skilled to do. You have no idea what skills you have unless you go and try for it. Never knew I was a businesswoman. Now I'm a badass one from Damon himself. But that's how you do it. Do not be afraid to try something new. Step out. It's the only way you know. And if it doesn't work, you go back in your own lane. But hard work will get you past a lot of people these days. Mic drop. I think that's the only question I get because I took up like 10 times. I'm sorry, I'm so passionate.
No, that is awesome. That is passion right there.
I can't take it.
That's why she is successful. You can see that passion, so you gotta follow that passion. Before we're gonna turn it over to you guys, I gotta say, so I started introducing the brands that these guys represent. all the reps back here are probably going to kill me. I see you.
didn't build fast.
I know, I'm getting there, I'm coming back. So John De La Rosa, Betancourt Nutrition, another new brand that we brought in. We got Build Fast Formula, and of course, Team All Max over here. So this is important to announce this because, guys, these are the brands that support us that can support you. So, you know, make it a point to show these guys love, try their products. They're all great products. All the products that we carry here, if they weren't great products, we wouldn't bring them into the store. So these are brands that you can trust and really support them. You know, they're giving their time here to you guys. So, you know, help make it for them, you know, help make it a great experience and, you know, help their bosses be very happy as well. So, all right, guys, we're going to turn this over to all of you. So we're going to just rapid fire. You can ask it to multiple people. We can ask it to one specific person. You know, Meet and I will be running through the audience with the mics. And so if you have a question, raise your hand. First one up. Gets it. Oh, muffin pump all the way in the back. Of course, here we go. This is Team Muffin Pump right here.
Alright, so this question is pretty much to everyone that has children, because I just had a son, and so I was wondering, like, how do you adjust when you have your first child? Like, how do you adjust in a lifestyle that you want to continue with training and diet? Like, how do you make that adjustment?
Who's taking it on the panel first?
Whoever wants it.
I got three.
He's got the mic, so you start. We'll bring it down to John.
I got John beat by one, so. So I noticed when I was training in my 30s and I had my kids, they're literally like, the gym is really like everybody in their 20s and then everybody post kids, like 45, 50 years old. There's not a lot of people that really stick to it during that time period. You gotta get tight with your time. You gotta really evaluate in your life, like what is the stuff, the crap that's filler. You know, you're sitting there watching some TV, watching a game, like doing things that are just killing time. To make, you know, how often are you on your phone? Like, you can make time to find 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, but set it in zone. You know, set those expectations with your family, right? You know, hey, here's the day, this is what I'm doing, but on the back end, this is what I'm gonna pick up and make up for that. You're gonna take that time away. Don't be sitting there wasting it on the weekend doing your own crap. You know, spend it with your family. So it's a balancing act, and you can make it work. A lot of people don't. But this is what allowed me to train for 30 years, is not giving up. And anybody that follows me on social media can see how involved with my family I am.
So you got me beat by one, but I had two at once. So my thoughts are very similar to Chris's. I had twins, and that was the hardest year of my life. And I've had some hard years. It was a very, very challenging year, that first year. You got the obvious stuff. Make priorities, set a timeline, like, okay, I'm gonna play with my kids at this time, whatever. That's kind of all the obvious stuff. The most important lesson that I learned wasn't just to make time for them, is actually be present. So if you're sitting there with your kids and you're watching TV or you're not really interacting with them, I would question whether that's really valuable time. I would rather spend a half hour with my kids and actually interact and actually do something with them instead of just sitting there and playing on my phone. I think that is at the end of the day, the interaction, the quality of that interaction, if you really just focus on that, leave your phone in somewhere else in another room, just really focus on that is what's going to make the difference. That's when you're going to connect with your kids, and that to me, that's the best piece of advice I can give you. And I learned that the hard way. You know, when my wife challenged me, and she challenges me a lot, you know, yeah, you are spending time with them, but are you really spending time with them? So she made me rethink, like, oh wow, man, I'm not really doing stuff with them. So that kind of changed my mindset and made a really big difference. Something that simple. A lot of times the answers, these questions aren't complex, they're really simple. So that to me is a very simple piece of advice that I think will really help you as they get older and so forth. So
Make sure you always take time to have family dinner. Sit around as they get older. I think this is something that's missing in the world today, is people, you know, are off on their phone, eating, watching TV. It's an important tradition and there's lots of value in it. Every day I have to be home by a certain time to sit down. My phone has to be put away. If I grab it, I'm called out by everybody. And we sit down and we talk about the funny stories and exciting things from the day.
is we have dinner together as a family. Very important tradition.
My wife hammered me on that as well, Chris. I'm glad you brought that up. She is adamant that we sit down at 6 o'clock, we have dinner together. She's adamant, and she will snap my neck if I don't listen. But that's another great point, man. And I think like people like try to solve all the problems of the world. Start right there. Start by sitting together and having real social connection with your families.
It's a simple
Start
thing,
right
but
there.
I really think it's a big thing and
Huge.
a driver. So.
Huge, absolutely, man.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Good. Hands. We're on left side here. Right here, man. I got you.
Yes, I want to know what's the first product.
Little
Which product has the most antibiotics in it?
So is this directed at somebody specifically, a brand specifically, and define antibiotics?
What supplements has the most antibiotics in it?
All right, I can handle that one. You know, being drug mental, I can take that one.
Take it away, Doug. Which product has the most anabolics in it?
This is the greatest troll ever. Like, I don't even know what to do with this. Anyone? How do we even answer this?
It's easy.
I think it's Blackstone Labs for sure. Kidding, not kidding. Where's Sammy at? Is Sammy here? You need to go talk to Sammy. Sammy's your man. He'll hook you up.
Sammy, where you at?
Sammy, where you at? We'll take care of you after the event. We'll talk. All right,
Next question.
I know.
So this is for whoever has some input and wants to answer. What is the biggest hurdle when bringing a new formula or a new product to market?
I can take that one. Yeah, I can take that one.
Yeah, so this would be great for John, being that, you know, he's the owner of Granite Supplements.
Yeah, so I do formulations too. Here's the balancing act. Everybody wants to use something that's evidence-based, it's proven over a myriad of studies, but you also want to be the first to market with something. You want to be on the cutting edge. You know, we were the first brand that did 100 milligrams of tea cream in a dose. And the challenge was, where's all the studies? I'm like, I don't really care. I take it and I love it. So there's a balancing act. In the people that the cutting edge people can make stuff up and we don't know any difference. And generally speaking, consumers are getting hoodwinked. There's fairy dusting of ingredients. People will say, oh, well, we got BHB salts. We got these ketone bodies. Then you look at it and it's 0.8 grams. 0.8 gram will provide zero noticeable effect. But the consumers don't know any difference. So I'm thankful for stores like Paul's store, Bullfrog Nutrition, like Doug's stores. They're not going to support products like that are literally just trying to pull the wool over your eyes using fairy dusting. So for me, the biggest challenge is a balance of things that are proven and kind of being on the edge of, you know what, here's some really cool, new, and exciting stuff. And maybe it doesn't have 30 documented clinicals, but we think there's a lot of potential here. So that's kind of the balancing act that I find to be the biggest challenge. Gorilla Chemist actually might have some thoughts on that too.
Next question. Brandon, did you have your hand up earlier? Or? No?
I got a question for Steve and Amanda. So, you guys both competitors, how do you share in each other's victories, and does that ever cause any jealousy? Does it ever cause any contention in the gym? How do you guys balance all that out?
Okay. Oh, we're just not jealous as it is because, you know, we're not a-holes, but I can see that happening to some people, and I'm joking if you get jealous, don't worry about it. I'm done competing. Actually, I competed for 11 years, so when we met, we got married like literally 6 weeks later. We like almost got married our first date. It was instant. And I was like, I'll never date a bodybuilder, and then, hi-oh, he's perfect. Anyway, so I was done competing. I didn't stop competing because we got married. A lot of people might thought that. I just did it for 11 years and was kind of ready to move on and transition. And but, you know, and I'm just gonna brag on him again. He's not a bad dieter. And I know, you know, a lot of people don't understand that. But because he was 10 years in firefighting and EMT, that helps him really with the non-complaining about diet. And I kind of learned that early on too, because you can use an excuse to be like, I'm tired, I'm hungry. You are. I mean, I would cry, I would be so effing hungry. But I was like, this is my choice, I'm doing it, I'm an effing champion, period. So it's your attitude. You can choose to be a bad person, or you can choose to just go, it's part of my job, suck it up and be quiet. But anyway, as far as jealousy, no, it's a 100% support. And I think the cool thing is, because I'm stepped away from stage, he overly tries to apologize, like, sorry, I can't go out, we can't eat dinner, a lot of celebrations, birthdays, but because I've done it, it doesn't, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's great, you know? Holidays, whatever, we just kind of do it together because we know that we're a team, and I think that also makes us even that much more successful. And again, it goes to having a strong support system around you. So never any jealousy, never, it's just easy and it works together. And everything we do as a team. So we also own our own, we have several businesses we own. We put on our own bodybuilding show. So again, it goes to teamwork. And jealousy's bad, man. You should be with someone that you just support. But yeah, I think it has to do with the individual and that attitude of coming into it. You know what I mean? Certain people are just going to be mad no matter what. Other people are just going to be, you know, kind of easygoing. But I think having someone that also supports you is super helpful and gets it. You know what I mean?
And I could add on that. I think, you know, competing is very selfish, and anybody that's ever competed, and all the guys up here understand, it's selfish because you have to demand a lot of time for yourself. You're in the gym, you're sacrificing family time, and kind of going back to the family question, you have to be aware of that. If you are, you're able to give time to your spouse or your significant other that you can kind of live the balance a little bit, as close as you can to living a normal life, but you're competing. And if you can do that, you're going to have a successful relationship because, you know, women demand time and attention. And as a man, I know that. So my wife's not very demanding on me, but I know she appreciates when I give her extra time and attention. And you know, if I'm taking the day off from training, I'm not going to think about it. And we're just going to do something that is normal, go out to dinner and enjoy life. So it goes back to the balance part, enjoy life, but you know, communicate a lot to your partner and you're not going to have any problems.
Yeah, that's true. Communication.
All right, who we got? So we have a couple people that are going live here. So if there are any questions online as well, we can also take those from Trey, from the Nutrition Corners, my page, stuff like that. So who else has questions?
Right here, left side.
For this question, I guess I would go off of like side hustle. So something that necessarily wouldn't be a basis of your sport. And really I was trying to wonder like, what was the transition when you first started? Because we know when it comes to competing, especially in bodybuilding, powerlifting, there's not a lot of financial gain in that. You're doing it for your own self-purpose. So how do you transition it into your own side hustle and find out that it was actually a niche that you liked? And what really helped push that transition, whether it be owning a gym, whether it be owning a company in clothing, whether it be personal training, whether it be a supplement company, what was that transition and what helped get you there?
That was a really good question. Who wants it? John? Doug, you got it?
So I don't know if you guys know my background. I worked in corporate America for 12 years. I worked for JP Morgan Chase, and I was running the largest projects at Chase Bank. And I was training people on the side, 30, 40 people, so I essentially had 2 jobs. For me, there were a couple factors. There was, I had a family, so if I just stopped, option A, the paycheck that I knew was coming, the benefits, am I going to put my family at risk and all that? So I had to think, is this worth it? So for me to be able to do that, I had to make sure that in the fitness industry, like I was offering real value. So back in those days, I was on the boards all the time. I've answered as many free questions as anybody I know. I'm doing 5 YouTube videos a week. I try to provide value for people. I try to have people understand who I was. So when I made that transition, I had a base to build on. It wasn't just I woke up one day and go, hey, you know what, I'm just going to quit this and do that. So I was very meticulous with my planning. It was very meticulous. I had to understand what the concerns were, and I saved a lot of money up and I paid my house off. That was one of the things. Like, even if I fail, my kids are going to have a roof over their head. You know, a lot of people say just dive right in and go for it and don't have a plan B. I have a little different perspective because I have a family. I need to have a plan B. So my perspective is be meticulous about it. Maybe you don't do it all at once. Maybe you do it in pieces and you transition over. You try certain things. You see what works. Some things will work. Some things won't work. I started a bodybuilding a member website 9 years ago. Nobody else was doing that. And now there's tons of them out there. So I was like, let me try this. Let me see if it works. And everybody said it won't work. Everybody's too cheap. Nobody's going to give you $1. And it worked. Now it's starting to tailor off because there's so many of them. So now I have some other ideas, which I was actually talking to some of the employees here about. So I would say just carefully plan, be meticulous, make good decisions, try to understand where you need to be, and just think through everything. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of my thoughts.
So I'll repeat some of what John's, and mostly so I can one up him, So, I worked in corporate America.
It's these old guys with kids.
I worked in corporate America for 18 years. And, but, for those that don't know my background, I'll repeat a lot of what John said, but I ran aerospace manufacturing companies, did some military work, did those vehicles that were out here yesterday, the MRAP, bomb resistant stuff underneath, worked in nuclear. So ran teams of engineers and turned companies around and did all that stuff. I got tired of it long before the 18 years was up, and it was really building a foundation long in advance. So starting up and producing free content and adding value, which I did for a long time. Isn't that right, Kevin? So it goes way back as providing that and building that brand and not expecting anything in return. So I get people all the time, hey, I just got out of college. How do I get to be, a famous online trainer or whatever? You got to put time. You got to work in the trenches, and if you've got another job and a family to support, you got to do both. Okay, and I did that until I knew that I had enough, out there to launch our first product and launch a company and make that transition, because it's in the same situation. I had a family and a lifestyle and everything that needed to stay the same. I didn't want my family to sacrifice for my personal decisions and sacrifices I was willing to make. So that's just the big thing, is you've got to put in the time, build the networks, the relationships, create content, create value, whatever way that you can, to build before you have that platform that you're going to figure out how to monetize it in some manner. So, and know what you're going to add. It's not to make money. It's how am I adding value in this industry? How are people going to be better for what I'm going to do? And that's what needs to be your focus. Not how can I figure out how to make a job or make money? I think you're going to end up failing if that's that's where you're starting from.
Awesome. So we got one question coming in here. Let's get some of the current pros that are competing here. Was there a point in your career trying to go pro or as a pro where you almost stopped competing? What were they and why? All right, good question, I guess.
Well, I turned pro very early on, and I was 20 years old when I won the Mr. USA's in 2015, and I was basically just a kid in college that had big dreams like probably all you guys sitting out there had. And reality kind of started to set in. I quit college shortly after I won the USA's. And about 2 years later, I had my son that's now going to be about 2 years old, so my life changed drastically, like these guys that kids can talk about. And I started to think about the repercussions about, what I was doing, and also, obviously I wanted to provide for my family. So, it was a challenging time, obviously, to decide where I was going to go. I actually almost became a firefighter. Steve's been somebody I looked up to for a long time. And, it's a solid career, and, bodybuilding is kind of changing a lot in the last 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Even since I've been in the last 5 years, it's changed. I'm a realistic guy. I want the best for my family, so I have, thought of other things and other routes, but man, I love bodybuilding. This is my passion, and I think like they said earlier, if you want something bad enough, you can make it happen, and I just kind of continued my course, and there's been rough months, there's been rough years. I had surgery back in February, and now I'm coming back into the open class, and most people probably count me out. But if you want something bad enough, I think that you can make shit happen no matter what. It's all in your head and believing in God's path for you and for yourself. So people that maybe are doubting what you're doing, or maybe you're like, maybe this isn't a career. It's a career if you want it to be. It's whatever you want it to be. With Instagram, with YouTube, with social media the way it is now, you literally don't even have to compete, and you can have a very good life for yourself. And using competing alongside that can only enhance it that much more. So I'm a bodybuilder at heart. I'm not ever going to quit this. It's just a matter of if I was ever going to take more of a corporate route. But after that, I want to work for myself and continue following my dreams. So with that, hopefully that maybe helps somebody out there.
So I won my pro card on my 16th try. This is why I love God, people like God. People told me, oh John, you got this good pelvic girdle, you got the narrow clavicles, you look like shit. I can't tell you how many times I was told that. Okay, I'll just keep coming back. I'll just keep getting better and better. I'll diet harder. I'll show up in shape. So all I can say is 16 tries. I never doubted myself, but I knew it wasn't going to be easy for me because I'm also realistic. So like Guy talks about, I just kept on cranking, man. So it took me 16 tries.
Questions?
So this is a question for everybody other than you, Cody. Sorry, it's like an age thing. But so Chris, you mentioned like producing free content. You said, isn't that right? You were talking about the message boards, and John, you said something about the message boards too. How is
They're a little dead now, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to ask. How has the quality of discourse changed as we've moved from Internet 2.0, which is the message boards, to predominantly social media? So for people that don't know Chris, he's got a good social media presence now. You can go back and read systematic logs of his training for 15 years, detailing how he introduced systematicity, I think, a little bit into powerlifting, his diet, how he's experimenting with different training programs. There may have been only 6 people following that log, but it was essay-length dissertations and posts. Now social media has an element of, I'm going to use a big fucking word, instantaneity. It's like instantaneous. How has the quality of that discourse changed substantially as we move from deep and like long discussions into short, instantaneous interactions, and how's that changed your approach, I guess?
I think I can comment real quick. I'm an outsider looking in, has been in the industry as a professional for a long time, and being on message boards and things, and back in the day there was a lot of good content because there wasn't all these so-called professionals out there now. There's a lot of diluted information and a lot of bad information out there. And I think the guys up here I know you can trust, and there's a lot of select few people outside of this that you can also trust that put out good information that is something that they'll actually do and stand by, versus like, hey, I'm gonna say something just to make money, I'm gonna take your money and put out a bullcrap generic program, or tell you to take all these supplements or all these drugs or whatever. There's a lot of dangerous stuff, and you have to be careful to really what you listen to and read and watch. So that's just my 2 cents on this, but I'm gonna let Chris jump on that.
I'll just make one comment on that because I think it's hilarious a lot of times. You can tell good online trainers and bad ones, right? But I just think it's hilarious, the template guys. I'm like, we used to have that. It was called, the Muscle Magazine. You pick it up for $2.99, and the template training programs would be there. And now you pay $90 a month or whatever it is. So, I think there's still value in, we think about the attention span being so short, but it's understanding the different medium types and still the different ways that people, gather information or look, and they want to dive. So you need to have that short form content, and like I've been learning that in the last few years, and like what works and what doesn't. But there's still a need for that more in-depth content. You can see the needs for that coming. Like I still have, I find like my YouTube followers are not my Instagram followers. We got, I've got 45-minute clinical assessment videos on there with 100,000 views. So there are people that want that more in-depth content. And now you see the driving of that actually happening like on Instagram, where now you've got IGTV, and we're starting to reload some of that content now on there. And there's a lot, there's value, not with every person. So you got to have those different pieces, different depths of material. From just a basic infographic to catch somebody's eyes with a concept to really diving deeper and deeper. And then again, some people are still take that written form. Unfortunately, I'm really horrible at sitting down to write. But I did just finish a book, so it comes out July 9th, by the way. Did I do that by accident? Yeah. TheEagleandTheDragon.com. So it goes live on Amazon on January 9th. So anybody that is into self-improvement, business, entrepreneurship, just bettering yourself in life. It is not a powerlifting or strength training book. There's a little bit of that in there, but it's a autobiography laced with lots of very valuable things for you to put in place in life. So, anyway, that answer your question?
Yeah, I'll hop on this question real quick because this is kind of a question that pisses me off. You probably all are going to know where I'm going with it. So there's a few people sitting in the audience that should be up here, that'll be up here later, like Mike, like Gorilla Chemist. And the one thing that's different between everybody that's sitting on this panel and a lot of you guys sitting in the audience is that when we were coming up and we were in the gym training, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media. So if you're not up here on this panel, if you're not a pro, if you're not an owner of a business and you're in the gym trying to accomplish your goal, put your fucking cell phones down in the gym. Stop taking your goddamn selfies. Stop posting your ass pictures that everyone wants to see. Stop posting bicep curls with your shirts off because nobody gives a shit. I'm telling you right now, I see that. I don't even follow people like that because when I was coming up in the gym, I didn't have I still use an iPod to this day. Everybody goes, why do you bite your cord? Because my phone stays with my trainer who takes videos of me because I have sponsors. I make a lot of money doing what I do. I have to do it because I have sponsors. I don't do it because I want to show tits and ass. I don't do it because I want to get followers. I do it because I have to. Because at the end of the day, when we're all in a grave, our grave isn't going to say how many fucking likes and followers are on our headstone. So worry about going into the gym and training and stop worrying about what's posted on your cell phone 24 hours a day, and then maybe you guys will get a little more ahead if you put a little more if you guys put the effort into the gym the way you put it into your goddamn cell phones, a lot more people will be successful in this fitness industry.
Big time.
I have no words. That's amazing. Love it. All right, what we got? So we were running a little late starting. We're going to run this another 10 minutes or so, and then we're going to do a quick break and then jump to the next panel. Couple more questions.
So to Guy Sestino and to John Meadows, so what was perhaps one of the biggest training plateaus that you guys have ever come across, and what was the thing that pushed you through that? Obviously, Guy, you have hard training mentality, and as far as John, you train hard and you're smart. So, all right. Well, if you could tell me, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
John, you want to go first, and then I'll go?
Yeah, I'm going to try to make this real simple though. I went for probably 10 of those years competing where I didn't really, honestly, if I'm being truthful, I didn't really gain any muscle. I just kind of stayed the same, and I was pounding myself into the ground, training really hard. And I had to understand that as much effort as I was putting into training needed to be put into recovery. That was one of the things that really helped me. Like, you know what? It's cool that I'm beating the hell out of myself, but I also got to put that much focus on recovery. When I did that was the year that I made my breakthrough, and I started getting all those second place finishes, but at least I moved up a second. So the emphasis on recovery, because listen, I'm sure Guy will tell you this, everybody has this fear of overtraining, this irrational fear. And when we were coming up, that wasn't even a discussion. You went to the gym and like, let's see how hard we can go. Let's see what we can really do. It wasn't, you better ease up, Guy. You're going a little too hard, you know. And that's what I see now as people talk about this. You don't ever need to go to failure. You're going to overtrain. And I will tell you without a shadow of a doubt, you will not reach your full potential if you don't push yourself the hardest. You just won't. There's an old saying, you never know where the line is until you cross it a little. I don't think people are even coming close to the line. Guy's 2 weeks out from a show. He gets in on a flight. He's out there Friday night. He was training his ass off 2 weeks out from a show. I know what that's like. I know what that takes. And that's in short supply these days. So don't don't underestimate the value of pure effort and intensity, but you gotta match it with recovery, is what I would say, and that's when I started progressing again.
And the parlay what John's saying is don't be afraid to do the lifts. I hear people go, I don't deadlift because it's gonna make my waist bigger and my back, and I don't bench press because it's bad for my shoulders. Well, those are the compound lifts that everybody did for the past fucking 100 years to get to where they got to. But the problem is that if you do an exercise with shitty form, you're gonna get hurt. I get guys that come in the gym all the time that want to train with me, and I go, yo, do the way you could do, because you're not gonna keep up with me. Do what you can do in the gym, but these are the lifts. I still do incline dumbbell presses, I do floor presses, I do deadlifts, I do rack pulls, I do heavy I'll still do power cleans, because you need to hit your body in every single angle at a muscle group as possible. But the problem is you get so many people in the gym that all they want to do is machines, because it's the easy way out. Everyone wants to do a pendulum squat or a power squat or a hack squat, because it's a lot easier to put 4 plates on a hack squat than it is to put 4 plates on a squat bar and squat ass to grass to grow your legs. So the problem is that everybody has, now listen, I train with John. I know John's training method. John Mountain Dog training isn't an acronym for training. It's more of a style of training your ass off. But all these training methods with all these acronyms to get you guys to buy these ebooks and to buy all this stuff. There's nothing is better than going into the gym and training your ass off and being dedicated 110% every single day. If you do that and train with good form every single day and pyramid sets and go to failure and push it. I tell everybody, you don't know what training hard is until you train hard. So don't be afraid to do all the compound lifts, because that's the biggest thing that I see is people come into the gym and they stay on machines or they stay light and they're like, oh, well, I'm dieting for a show, so aren't I supposed to go like higher reps? No, bodybuilding is about gaining as much muscle as you can in your off season and keeping that muscle when you're dieting for a show. So why would you change the way you train for a contest when you're trying to keep that muscle? The only thing that changes during a contest is your diet and your cardio regimen. Your training stays the same. I've squatted 500 for 15 reps 2 weeks out from a show. As long as you can do it, because that's gonna make, you can tell the guys, physiques on stage who train hard and don't train hard. I can pick them out. You can put a lot of it in front of me and go, he trains hard. He probably trains like a pussy. It's the truth. People don't like to hear it, but it's the truth. That's why I have a lot of fans that love me, a lot of fans that hate me, but I tell it how it is. Whether you like it or not, it's the truth.
Thank you. Hi, what do we got?
What's going on, guys? My question is for the competitors. So I'm a new pro. I turned pro last year, and
congratulations.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm a baby in this. It's only my second year competing. I was blessed enough to hit the pro card in like 4 shows, but I didn't have any expectation. I just went in and did what my coach told me to do. We grinded it out, and then we ended up getting it. But now that I'm gearing up for my pro show coming up, I still have the same mindset to just do what I can do and see what happens, see where I fare out. But I'm gonna be on stage with the pros, you feel me? So now I'm like, it's kind of on me.
The only
So
difference is that the people you're going against, instead of saying NPC before their name, they're other parts as IFBB. It's the same damn thing.
it's all the same.
Stage is the same, lighting's the same, cans the same, triple loaded trunks are the same. People still put their trunks on one leg at a time. Don't matter, same people. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. So when you did it, what was the feeling? Like when you went, of course it was a great accomplishment once you got a pro card.
When I stepped on a pro stage?
Yeah.
Mentality?
From amateur to pro.
My first pro show, I walked in there like I'm gonna smoke every one of these after smoke.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm not going to war with guys on stage hoping they take me out. I'm trying to take everybody out on stage. I don't care if Phil Heath shows up. I'm taking this guy down. That's it.
You gotta have the killer instinct.
That's it.
That's right. All right, appreciate it.
I got you, Brown. Right here.
So I've noticed that nowadays competing, everyone's saying it should just be fun and just do it for yourself. And where I feel like back in the day, it was you hit stage, you're on the stage to win. But nowadays it's almost like you can't say, I'm there to beat your ass. Like it has to be now, I'm just doing this for myself and to better myself. And like everyone just gets a trophy and good job. How do you guys feel about how it's changed the sport? That now you can't say, I'm out there to beat you. I'm out there to win.
Well, I think Guy can say that.
Social media, because people want to. If you put, my biggest pet peeve is I don't need a mic. If you put NPC competitor before your name, I won't even. I don't even pay attention to you because anybody can be an NPC competitor if you pay $100 to get an NPC card. So that really doesn't mean a goddamn thing to me. Just like me, my Instagram, like everything's not IFBB Pro Guy Sesternino. My name is Guy Sesternino. IFBB Pro is not my name. That's just what I do. That's my profession. Nobody says on their Instagram, I have a BA in, I'm a history teacher. I don't have BA in history and all my degrees and my trades and this. No, it's people compete because they feel like if they compete, just to compete, it gives them an outlet to say, oh, I competed, I got my ass kicked. Well, now I'm a guru and I can tell people how to pose, what to eat, how to train, how to diet, make money. That's why a lot of people just compete, to just say they compete, because in their mind, if they do a show, that gives them an outlet to be like, well, now I can coach.
I don't mind. I was gonna say, from my perspective, is because I'm so different from Guy, and I love you, Guy. I basically had to feed you everything I want you to post. My thing is for that is because I was actually always, because I started in bikini. I was one of the first pros. I'm not taking a lot of tries. I actually turned pro my first try. I know. But it was when it was very new and up and coming. I always went in with the only thing I knew is I'm here to win. And so when I would interview and they said, well, how did you expect to do? I'd say, well, I came to win. And that's the only mindset I didn't have training. Because if I came, it's like when you, and it's odd because I feel like the thing I feel people say that is nowadays, I think it's out of fear that how they'll do. Because it's really easy Band-Aid to put on because of how much it's grown. Remember, I turned pro with maybe 30 in my division. There's probably 100 in divisions now. So it's really, I just honored to be up here. It's an honor to be up here. I'd be like, I'm only here to win, period. I'm honored to be on the Olympia stage, but when I got 5th, I'm like, I should have won this. Like, that was my mentality, and that's what got me in to do the next show, to redeem myself. Because that was my mindset when I went up there. And if I knew in prejudging I wasn't going to be top 3, I went on that stage at finals for everyone to go, she should have won. So that was always my mindset because I'm like, I don't know, I don't train, I can't think of an Olympic medalist be like, I'm going for the bronze, my friend. I'm like effing gold, you know what I mean? So it's not, to me, it's if the person that says, I'm excited to be here, if they would have won, they'd have been like, hell yeah, I won. You know what I mean? So I think it's a fear of, I have no idea how I'm gonna do because it's really oversaturated. It doesn't allow to have a confidence in yourself. And what's wrong with saying you want to win? That's not disrespectful. So if whatever you do, I'm going to win. Every show we're at interviewing, we're like, we're here to win the Arnold. Why not? Why the freak not? Because at a moment, I've been on the stage and a rookie won first place. We had no idea. You don't go up there with, and the thing when people say I have no expectations to come in this, I'm like, what the freak are you doing it for? You gotta go up there expecting, like, I put everything that I could do. I walk on that stage like, I could do no more. So what else could I do? I can't beat myself up. I just physically couldn't do anymore. But I'd also be realistic. I think a lot of times people aren't self-aware. That's not just with competing, that's life. Know that, I have people come up to me like, how did I do? I'm like, you should have got 10th, man. That 6th place was a gift. But they think that they should have won. And I'm like, you need to be self-aware enough. So I'm overly critical to be like, always beating yourself down. It's my leg, it's my shoulder. But you can't chase the judge's critique. You'll be chasing yourself all over the place. You gotta present what you want. But you also have to be self-aware that if you need to make improvements to win, and be like, man, I wasn't the best person up there. So that's what I think is train to present something that you know you want. And when you go up there, the only mindset to me as a champion is I'm going to win this, period. Not an arrogance. Everyone, I love you, but I don't care who else is up here. I'm going to go and win. So I think that's it. I think people should go up there with an attitude going like, I'm going to win this. Not in a mean way. Not that person's a piece of crap. That's the difference. Going in with what you feel about yourself, not degrading every other person up there. Because that happens too. You know that, man. He's weak, he's up. I'm like, shut up, dude. Get his family's up there, whatever. Don't be a sore loser. But go up there with a 100% confidence. I think if people say they're just excited to be up there, that might be personal to them. Maybe they lost a lot of weight. Maybe their goal is just to get on the stage. But if you're going as a champion, top level, looking at this like the Olympics, You go there, you train, and the only mindset is we're here to win. Right, guys?
Yeah, and so I give the mic to John because we actually had this conversation about John going into his show, because John will say, John can be a head case when he dives for shows, and he was never a very confident person. So we were talking yesterday about his 2 pro wins, and he told me what he did to change the mentality for the past 2 shows he did, which is why I gave him the mic, because he said something to me which I think you guys need to hear, which is why I said, Doug, hand John the mic.
Well, you know, it's funny you said some people go into shows. I can speak on both parts of that. So every competition I've gone into, obviously, I go and I train to win. But as Guy said, I haven't always been as confident. This past year, I went through a really tough time. I went through a divorce, and it kind of crushed me. So it was more about the personal journey, getting back to the stage. Of course, I was training to win, but I honestly didn't care where I placed, more because I had defeated what I was going through in my life. So to get back to the stage was a very personal journey for me, and it was an accomplishment just to get back to the stage and to look good and to compete with some of the best in the world. So I can speak on that it's not always like Amanda was just saying. Sometimes you know what somebody's getting on stage for. Sometimes it is a very personal journey. They maybe lost a lot of weight, or maybe like me, they went through a tough time, and just getting back to the stage was a win. But as far as like my confidence, like Guy was saying, I went into these last 2 shows with a very different man. I had lost everything last year. I lost my home. Not through the divorce. I just kind of stepped away and gave everything up and just started my life over. And I think in that, I found that I can make it through anything, and I became very, very confident in myself. And every day I got on my treadmill or stepper, and I just reminded myself of everything that I had been through in my life, and growing up poor and not having much, and having an immigrant family who didn't have anything, and there were days that I didn't eat as a child. So all of that, and I just reminded myself every day, fuck, I'm gonna go win this. Why not me? I have everything it takes, and I work my ass off every single day. And again, there wasn't anything that was gonna take that from me. It was just, it was unshakable, and it actually winning was. It was crazy because it brought back all this emotion, like, holy shit, I actually did it, and all that belief, all that hard work paid off. So, I mean, like I said, I understand when people get on stage and they don't look like they belong on stage, but you don't know what their personal journey was. So I can speak on both parts because I've been through that. Now, I was always a competitor, even back when we were amateurs, we were competing in the Easterns, the Mets in New York. Those are the shows you had to win, and Guy was winning, and I was going against some of my best friends, Marco Rivera and Juan Morel, and we were going to war. Like we didn't talk for weeks getting ready for the shows because, fuck it, I'm going to win. You're going to win? No, I'm going to squat more because my leg's going to be better, and I'm going to win. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, going into these last 2 shows, I was just super, super confident in myself. I reminded myself that I was doing the work, and that nobody was going to take it from me no matter what. Nobody was going to outwork me. Nobody was going to, just outshine me on that day, and it paid off.
All right, guys, that's a wrap for this part. Let's have one big round of applause for this panel. That was awesome. So I'm hoping you guys can stick around a little while longer. I'm sure people might have some personal questions for you that they might not want to raise their hand for. Sign some autographs, hugs, whatever you guys do. And now I'd like to take literally a 5-minute break. We're going to take 5 minutes, not like 7 minutes. We're going to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to take a leap, and then we're coming back, and we're going to be talking with the influencers and the CEOs next. So we'll be right back. Thanks, guys.